swimming pool may seem an odd place to start a picture on shooting, but there is a logical tie-up. While it's possible that someday any one of us might have to shoot or swim to save his life, most of us take up these sports for the simple reason that they're fun. Swimming is fun for anybody, but since some of us aren't exactly Olympic champs, signs are posted telling where it's safe to play and where it's not. Other signs carry other common sense safety warnings, and the hero of 1,000 jokes and stories stands guard just in case. But worth many times his pound of cure is the ounce of prevention taken by learning how to swim. This is the real way to prevent accidents and guarantee that swimming is fun. Shooting, too, is fun. All kinds of shooting. Fun for expert and beginner alike. That's why it's the favorite sport of millions of people. And like swimming, it's a safe sport, so long as we know what we're doing. This means simply being careful to observe certain safety mottos drawn up by our National Rifle Association. Let's check them off now, one by one. And if we happen to find a shoe that fits, then let's put it on, so we can honestly say that shooting is fun and nothing but fun. The muzzle is often called the business end of a gun, which is right, as long as it's not monkey business. That point should be perfectly clear to this group of experienced hunters. And especially to Harry. Although he's earned the nickname Trigger Happy, he's been shooting since he was a boy, so naturally he knows all there is to know about guns. He knows how persuasive a gun can be in an argument. He's seen it in the movies 100 times. This technique is usually not necessary, and it's certainly not safe. This is better. Now the only man in real danger is Harry himself. Although his friends might be annoyed if they had to call off their hunt to rush him to a hospital. It seems nobody's safe with Harry around. Surprise, Harry? No wonder the boys call you Trigger Happy. That's the way. Always keep it pointed where it can't hurt anybody, even if it should decide to go off all by itself. There now. Everything's fine. Oh no, not again. It's not even safe to carry a stick that way, much less a gun. Leaving Trigger Happy Harry on what we can assume will be his last hunt with these friends, let's join up with this pair, just back from a good day. Uh-oh, it's Harry again. And a fine response this is to the offer of a helping hand. You see, Harry, among other things, a gun is not a boat hook. Here on the pistol range, we're safe from Harry and from other worries. We're safe because, despite the many guns in sight, among these experienced shooters, it's just a natural habit to watch your muzzle and observe the other necessary safety precautions. Now, take away the pistol. Substitute a rifle. And see that the same holds true of handling guns with longer barrels. It's like learning to drive a car. Conscious effort in learning to handle a gun correctly soon develops the unconscious habit of doing the right thing without thinking. It doesn't matter what gun you hold in your hands. What matters is how you hold it all the time. No, not again. But yes, Harry still points his muzzle at random. Now, Harry, they're expecting shots down around the target. So this is okay. And in general, this is okay. But this is the way to kill somebody. So remember what we said. Watch that muzzle. "I didn't know it was loaded" is the most famous alibi in the world, and the most inexcusable. Take a gun, any gun, this rifle, for example. Its owner is rightfully proud, and his friend is rightfully skeptical, until he's convinced that it's not loaded. Why take a chance? Why try to remember whether we've unloaded when it's this easy to be sure? Now everybody's happy, and the proud owner can extract words of praise from his envious friend. Maybe now a bolt-action rifle isn't your hobby. Well, it's just as easy to check and be sure with a lever-action rifle, a pump-action rifle, a revolver, an automatic pistol, a double-barrel shotgun, an auto-loading shotgun, or what have you. Now, all these guns are equipped with mechanical safeties. These safeties usually are simply blocks which prevent the cock mechanism of the gun from operating. But with the gun open, as it is here, the gun can't possibly fire. That's worth remembering. Open action is the safest safety of all. The only time a gun should be loaded is when it's about to be fired. At all other times, let's play it safe. Let's get in the habit of asking ourselves, is that gun loaded? Is that gun loaded? Is that gun loaded? Is that gun loaded?
Is that gun loaded?
Even so, guns should not be left lying loose around the house. They should be locked up or kept safely out of reach. Yes, it's loaded. Luckily, no harm has been done this time. But there's still only one thing Harry can say. I didn't know it was loaded. Just as ball players train in winter, hunters can spend profitable hours in off-seasons getting acquainted with the woods, especially hunters bred in the city. Study the appearance and habits of your game so you'll know your target when that moment arrives. It's equally important to get used to seeing people moving around in the woods so you won't mistake them for game later on. The ability to distinguish quickly between man and well, look at this would-be hunter. Hey, stupid, what are you shooting at? Let's take a look. Oh, spotted a woodchuck, have you? Or have you? Look closer. A woodchuck, eh? That kind of mistake is mighty easy to make, but awfully hard to rectify after you've squeezed the trigger. Of course, when we are sure of our target, but then who needs advice in a case like this? Here's another case. It's been a long day, and the taste of venison is dying on our friend's palate. And then, at last, something's there. Could it be? Could it really be? It's Harry. Getting himself shot for this would be true justice. But unfortunately, a jury would be more apt to call it manslaughter. Poor Harry. He can't even deck himself out in the right kind of clothes. Must think he's playing soldier. A soldier, of course, must take great care to camouflage himself, to blend into his background and hide from the watchful eyes of his enemy, to see without being seen. But this kind of shooting is different, Harry. The idea here is to be as conspicuous as possible, because being seen is just as important as seeing. In any form of hunting, we want to look as little like the game as possible, for reasons which should be obvious even to you. Now Harry's spotted something. Here's one man we can count on to be sure of his target before he fires. A lucky miss. But now we can add one farmer to the list of those who wish that Harry would never venture outside the city limits. The target's one thing. Equally important is what's back of it. Without even looking, we'll say it's Harry. Who else would use this very warning as a target when there's a public road within easy range? Good shooting. But where do the bullets go from here? There's a lot of open country back there. We can't see it at all. But our 22 cartridges create a danger zone for 1 mile back. It's hard to clear that much country. Remember that. A 22 caliber long rifle cartridge is dangerous up to 1 mile. A .30-30 is dangerous up to 1.5 miles. And a .30-06 up to 2 miles. And at ranges like this, unless you're sure of your backstop, there's no telling what you'll hit. Harry has an idea here, and a good one. He certainly could use a little practice. But he didn't bring along his X-ray eyes, and this is no clay pigeon. A shotgun may have relatively short range, but it does have some range. No way of knowing what's on the other side of the hill. Here's another good sport. Plinking, an informal type of shooting, is fun. But watch out. The greatest marksman in the world can't control the path of a ricochet. Now maybe these men have taken the trouble to make sure that the shed is empty. That's good as far as it goes, but the bullet goes farther. It's not stopped by this side, nor by the other. Here's proof. Watch what happens when a .22 caliber long rifle bullet is shot through these boards. Yes, only a .22. This is the reason we've got to be sure of our backstop. This business of the backstop applies naturally to all forms of shooting. And it's not just strangers we have to watch out for. Take this group, for instance. It includes 3 experienced hunters and Harry. Correction, it did include Harry. But being a rugged individualist, he decides to strike out on his own. 5 minutes pass. By now, the others have missed Harry, but they manage to struggle along without him. This time it couldn't be Harry. He couldn't make that little commotion. So without hesitation, and there he is, as we knew he would be. But this time, instead of making like game, he's appointed himself to play backstop. No harm's been done, but for that Harry can thank neither himself nor the man who fired, knowing that one of his group was on the loose somewhere in the neighborhood. Hunting parties must stick together or keep informed of each other's movements, so they can always be sure of their targets and sure of their backstop. Trust Harry to show us the way not to hunt. Looks like he thinks he's back in the city, strolling along the pavement. Watch out, Harry, watch out! Oh, well, maybe he'll get by with a couple of bruises. At least the gun didn't go off in his face. But left alone, Harry would give it another chance. Lucky he's with men wise enough to recognize the danger and the need to check over the gun before going on. Keep it clean, Harry. That's the first rule that comes under the heading, Know Your Gun and Ammunition. The only safe gun is a clean gun, one that's in perfect operating condition. The few minutes required to keep it that way pay handsome dividends in the extra fun you get from shooting with a gun you're sure of. Well, what do you know? Even Harry. Wait a minute. Hold it, Harry. You, of all people, don't want a hair trigger. At least we don't want you to have it. The manufacturer knew how to adjust that mechanism. You keep away. And another thing, Harry. This whole operation looks to be out of your line. If your gun needs fixing, take it to a good gunsmith. You know, the way you take a sick child to a doctor. Now, Harry, you're not going to take another one apart. Well, that's a relief. Uh-oh. Even this looks suspicious. That's a .32-20 revolver, Harry. Sure, that cartridge fits all right. But let's see where you got it. That's what we thought. Take a look at that box. What do you think that notice is there for? The mere fact that a cartridge fits isn't enough. You've got to be sure it belongs there. There's a lot of different ammunition to choose from. Be sure you match the right cartridge with the right gun. Now you're on the right track. This is the place to get to know your gun and ammunition. This is where you develop confidence in yourself, in your ability to shoot and hit your target. Then you'll stop being trigger happy. You'll pick your shots carefully, and usually you'll get your game, and only your game, with a single, well-placed shot. Learn to shoot, Harry. And remember the pitfalls we've pointed out. Watch that muzzle. Keep it pointed where it can do no harm. Don't trust any gun. Examine it and make sure it's not loaded. Don't shoot until you're sure of your target, and equally sure of what's in back of the target within range of your gun. And know your gun and ammunition, what they are and how to handle them. There's nothing complicated about shooting, and nobody needs to feel hemmed in by these warnings. They're just little pieces of common sense which, put together, form a picture showing that if we know what we're doing and remember that a gun handled carelessly can be dangerous, then we can all continue to enjoy our sport without a worry. As we said, shooting is fun, but wait a minute. Hey, Harry. Okay, Harry. I guess if you can catch on, any of us can.